uh, so there was after the movie, I never ever ever do this, Trey. But for some reason, I went onto the internet and I just typed in warfare reviews. The first thing
Yeah.
that popped up was a New York Times article that I'm just gonna say this
Say it.
silly wrote this thing and it was like the most unentertaining movie. And I said, that's because you don't understand. You don't understand what you just witnessed. You didn't witness a
Yeah.
movie. Like that's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go tell these guys that they failed to entertain you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
see what they tell
Yeah.
you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that was the most disrespectful. I hope she sees this. That was the most disrespectful shit you could have ever written.
We're gonna
Ever.
add her. Are we gonna
I don't
add
know
her?
if they have a senior editor or something, but if you do at New York Times, you really need to read what your people are writing before they post it.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It was Iraq, and it was like 2016, I think.
Ramadi,
2006.
2006.
2006. I knew it. Yeah. Okay. 2006. Yeah. Not 16. Duh.
But overall, I didn't realize when I came into the movie that this was based on stories from real people.
Me neither. Yeah.
So that was a cool little, I guess, twist for me. When they were talking about it at the beginning, I was like, okay, wait a minute. I thought this was, a story, but it's a real story. But so I had no expectations, and let me tell you, I love the movie, like front to back. It was the way that it opened. It was kind of like a fun, like little the video with the people watching the workout video. So that gave you a feel like how it's going to be a nice, fun, happy uh, movie, but then it goes completely different.
Yeah.
But in the long run, I loved it. I'm not really explaining much because I don't want to mess up and
Yeah. Yeah.
spoil
No.
anything. But
Yeah. That's no.
I I
That's
was very very pleased with the time that I spent sitting down and watch that movie.
nah. Yeah. No. That was good. And no, and I agree. The opening was definitely, especially how it opened up into that scene after the trailer. So I thought it was
Hmm.
another trailer,
Hmm.
and then the music kicked in, and you had the soldiers enjoying that. So that was a different kind of opening. But it what it did is it put you into like the camaraderie
Yeah.
of being in the army and everything. Or
Once Chris gets back in, I want to ask him about that scene a little
yeah,
bit
yeah,
because, like,
definitely.
they had the
Um,
guns and all this stuff while they're in full gear watching that. I was like, there's no way they are really doing
no,
this. But
no,
I
but
think that was some comedic relief they put in there just for how tough that movie was.
the like I said, the opening scene was cool. I like how I think for anybody wanting to go see this as a war action movie, it's not that. I don't think I don't think it's from what the trailers presented it to be. All right, I'm gonna lay into it and keep it
I see
real.
what you mean on the trailer steps.
I want to say that this movie might be a little bit more clickbait for some people than the other. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't good, but I'm saying you might be like, "Oh,
Chris's face.
snap." I don't know. You might cuz you might see the trailer and be like, "Oh, I'm about to go. This is about to be like action all around from the jump and everything, right?"
Question. Was it
Yes.
not? Hey, let me I have a question for you. In the trailer, did you see everything in the movie that you saw in the trailer?
No.
Was there anything in the trailer that you didn't see in the movie?
Anything in the trailer that I didn't see in
I
the
don't,
movie.
not that I
Were you
remember.
expecting to see something from the trailer that you did not see?
No, but
I
I
think
was
what he,
expecting. Oh, sorry, I'll go back. I was
yeah, yeah.
expecting more from that I didn't see in the trailer. Like I was expecting.
So
Um,
from the trailer, you were expecting it to
ex-
be like more like actual warfare,
I
like the
expected it
title.
to be a typical trailer that was like, I'm not giving you everything, but there's gonna be a lot more to see.
There was.
It-
You know what? Wait till my turn. Let me
yeah,
tell you.
wait till we get into it.
You're
So
about there.
that's this is my thing. I think it was a good film. I think it was a little clickbaity, and I'll go into it. Um, but overall, I think it was really good. I think people should go see it. but and I've said it to you, I texted to you all. I I would prefer to have to have went and seen something else in theater and just watch that at home.
Mm-mm.
And I'll get into it. I know we're gonna go back and forth on this, but yeah, Chris, tell the world your overall opinion of this film.
So I went into this movie with zero expectation. I literally had no idea what it was about. When y'all text me and you put Warfare, I thought it was a Call of Duty movie. I was like, "Oh yeah,
Right.
I'm in there. Call of Duty movie. Let's go see it." So
Yeah.
I went and I bought the tickets for the big theater, like the submersive theater. And let me tell you, bro, like this film, like I am trying really hard not to use the word movie because this was not a movie.
Yeah.
This was a
It
depiction
wasn't.
of a day in the life of one of those guys. This is just a day at work. So all these people that think the movie wasn't entertaining, I'm like, fuck you. What do you want for entertainment? Like it's not meant to entertain you. It's to show you a day in the life of one of those people. This is just a
Yeah,
day
it's
at
All right,
almost
work.
now
like a
now
it's almost like
and
a
and
documentary. You know what I'm
and
saying?
I don't want to jump on your this is your moment, but I just want to pull what I said into it. That's what I'm saying when I feel like it might be clickbaity because you're right. And a lot of people have called and said it's an experience, not a
Yes.
movie.
It's not a movie. Definitely not a movie.
That's
There's no,
that's
I don't think there's a script. Like a movie, I
oh,
expect there to be a
exactly.
plot, characters, climax, all this stuff. This film was just a depiction of this
Yeah.
story in film version.
Yep,
That's
exactly.
literally what it was. So don't go into this thinking that you're gonna get some great acting or some great storyline.
Yeah, some
I mean,
storyline. Yeah.
it's literally just a day at work for these guys. This is what happens.
And I'll even take this one and say that I might not have paid attention too well to the trailers, but I'm gonna say I expected a movie. I ain't gonna lie. I saw from what I went into it expecting was like, all right, there was gonna be a storyline. There was gonna be uh
There is a storyline.
some
They had a mission. The mission got fucked. They got to get out of there. That's the story.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
I
the
mean, if you look
story.
at
You're
it,
fighting for your life. That's the story. The story is
you have a
survival.
problem and they have to figure out how to get out of the problem. I mean, that's a storyline
Yes.
in itself.
all
Yes,
right,
bro.
so I'm ready to go into look, if you've caught this first 10 minutes of this has been us breaking it down on how overall no spoilers what was up with Warfare, should you go see it? I think all of us think you should. I thought I heard somebody yelling. And then
Taylor telling the dog to chill out.
oh okay. But yeah, so we're gonna get into it now. Spoilers are coming out, and we're about to what it sounds like is we're about to have a debate
To be
on how
Yeah.
this movie is going. Um so yeah, let's get into it. So Chris, I mean, I think Corey even has a question for you, and I
yeah.
think
So
with and I'll just to tee you up, Corey, with your
mhm.
military background, from viewers that don't know, you have military background.
Not
We would
Corey,
like to know
Chris.
how much does each situation, how realistic was certain things, and Corey has a
Yeah.
question.
So
I will
you kind of were away during
let
the
me start
opening
out with a
scene.
caveat with this.
Go ahead.
I did not do anything that was nearly close to the job that these motherfuckers were doing. Not even close. I flew
Yeah.
helicopters. I did not do
Yeah.
that job.
My thing was that opening scene. Like I think you were away when we were talking about it a little bit, but like when they're sitting there watching that video of the workout
That
video,
shit's
and then it
realistic.
flashes to them.
That's what he.
Well,
Yeah.
well, what about with the guns in full gear? They're just watching it like that, or are they more like,
Those Well, when you're on a deployment, when you're not in your place of like rest, you're supposed to have your gear on. You're supposed to have your weapon with you. Those guys are
okay,
a special kind of people. I
Mhm.
mean, those guys they're literally the Call of Duty guys. They probably do walk around like that all the time. And they were getting ready to go out on mission. So yeah, they would have been fully dressed that way.
I guess too, like anything could happen at any moment in time. So I guess you have to be ready at
At
all
Yes.
that
points.
time, definitely at
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get
Um,
that. Yeah,
yeah, I think that was just kind of it, and like that was yeah, that was kind of my thought process too with that one. I thought the opening scene was cool. I was like,
yeah.
I wasn't ready for it. I really thought it was
Mm-mm.
another trailer, and then I
You
was
know,
like, oh, okay,
it
okay,
said that this
and
story is only from their memory, and then it goes straight into the
yeah,
straight into the music
Yeah,
video. I was like, what kind of memories are these?
yeah, that's hilarious. I wish they said like so was it it was a I guess a group thing. It wasn't like it was some one person's memory, right?
Yeah.
No,
So
it was a
I don't know
collection of
if you
all their
remember
memories put
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
if
Okay.
you watch did you watch the final scene, like the after
Yeah,
credits?
but
Or
it said it called out Elliot.
yeah,
The
I
guy
think
Yeah,
he
said
was
was
this
kind
is
of
for
like the
Elliot.
main storyteller. Like
that's okay.
he was the one, he was the guy, the sniper, right?
Yeah, he was just got his legs well,
Yeah.
That
got
was
one
Elliot.
leg. Yeah. So nah man, I mean that was pretty dope. So we I mean the movie it pretty much jumps right into it. I mean they're so what are they doing? They're going
So
to
They're helping, they're doing sniper, they have snipers helping with marine operations in the area.
so
So
the first little scene from that video, I think they go right into like um kind of like a street view scene, and it's like really quiet and really dark.
yep.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Where they're
that's what
going
it
to
was.
find the
So
house that they want to,
eh,
they're looking for a house to camp out in, to
exactly.
make that way they can do surveillance.
Yeah, and they got
And
it seems like they have two allied, probably Iraqi military with them that
yeah,
were translators or whatever.
right.
So then they had so we what we learned is that there was actually what 3 units, but we were mainly
Three or
with one
four.
unit.
3 or 4, I
yes.
think.
I think there was
Yeah.
actually five total. I
Okay.
think there was five frogmen call signs, if I'm not mistaken. I
Yeah,
don't know.
there was
I'm pretty
5.
Okay.
sure
I
there was
think there
five.
was
Yeah.
5.
So with this main unit in the house holding up, they were watching over uh insurgents, I guess you would call them at that time, that were or they called them said they were jihading. But watching them, seeing what they were doing, what they were getting ready to do, and everything. That and this is and there's a lot more to talk about, but I'll just go on and say this that whole first getting into the building, the nighttime, getting in, setting up, just showing how long they've been there, what they're doing to pass time, the conversations, the relationship between them, all of that. I looked at my clock and I was like, we're still here in this moment. And I went to go. The movie for me started at 12 o'clock. It was 12:58 when before like because I'm not gonna lie, I was like I already have anxiety right now in life, right? But I already was like, all right, my anxiety's up. I was like, something's about to happen.
Yeah.
I was like, someone's about to get sniped. Like I'm like, one of them's about to get hit. I just feel it. So I was waiting
Yo.
on it. And I looked at my clock and I was like, man, it's been 58 minutes that we have been sitting watching um people move around, them have their conversations and do their relationship building. I was like 58 minutes. So that was one thing that stood out to me. Yeah, Chris.
You want to know why they probably did that? Because it's realistic. In the military,
Yeah,
you do a lot of sitting around just for a few
yeah.
moments of action. You do a lot of sitting around, ton of it.
Believe
Most of your career is sitting around.
believe me, and that's where I was just like, man, this and it now if it was and it probably was to build intensity, it did it because like I just kept waiting for something to happen. Like I was
See,
Hurry
looking
up and
for it.
wait, Trey. Hurry up and wait, bro.
and
Yeah.
this goes into more the production of the film as well. But like that feeling that you had, a lot of it was because there was a lot of silence too.
Yeah.
There wasn't much noise, so you're just sitting there getting more anxiety because it's just quiet. It's like it's too quiet and there's nothing going on. But that was the cool build of the film for me, and the lack of color too. Like like the black and white scene as soon as they come in at night. That was very interesting. But back to what you're saying about how like nothing was happening. I thought it was neat how when they're going through each of the people on the different levels of the house, like all the, I guess this is a question for Chris too, but um, when they were sitting there, they each had their notepads out and they were taking notes and like journaling stuff. Were they just doing that for the call sign or for the calls that they were getting through their comms,
I
like
would
just like
imagine
taking
that
down?
you talking about when he was in the sniper position looking through that hole in the wall. I would
Well,
imagine that
that
Well,
that's
too, but
that they all had different
they all
reasons.
had
Yeah.
notepads and they were all writing down different stuff.
I would imagine that that's probably something that's exclusive to Navy SEALs. They're really meticulous and they're really, really perfectionist. They're type A personality 100%. So they're gonna write down notes. They're gonna know everything about their opponent. It's like writing down notes about literally your opponent. You want to know what
Right.
he was wearing, where he was at what time. So when the next guy comes up, if he needs to switch out, you may be able to brief him, and then you get back briefed.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of talking that goes on, with stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
But
because one thing that stood out to me was he was looking in the scope and they asked him, they're like, how long was he there or whatever when he walked by? He looked down and he was like, 7 minutes or whatever he said. So like it feels like he was taking notes, timing it out, and then so you knew how long someone went this way, went that way. So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, no, I mean, definitely I have no knowledge in it, but it seemed like it was very the way they portrayed his position and a lot of other people, especially people on the comms, and people in the gunner, they all had like it was very meticulous. It seemed like it was very they did their homework to say the least. What it seemed like to me.
could you tell the
Um,
difference between the different kinds of soldiers? Like, could you tell the difference between the uh the Marines and the Navy SEALs?
I don't know if I could pull that out, no, but I
There
just
was
saw like
one
the
scene
different class.
specifically where I knew one of the guys was a Marine.
which one was that?
You remember when well, I don't want to jump. We'll get there. We'll get there. I'll tell you when we
Okay.
get to it.
Yeah, yes, we'll get there. Yeah, because well, I will say that what I was looking for was like what was on their chest and on their uniforms and stuff. That's what I was trying to catch, but
They're
nothing
not gonna
really.
wear much insignia because
Yeah,
they're
that's what
they're
I'm
I
Navy
saying.
SEAls.
Nothing.
They're
I
ghosts,
think
Yeah,
man. That's
nothing. Yeah, nothing really differentiated anybody. So
you could
but I was
catch the
trying to find
different
it.
classes though a little bit. Like you had the two guys that were rotating on the sniper rifle, and then you had a couple other guys that had some like ARs, right? And then the new guy they were talking about how he was like on his
the new
first
guy
mission
energy.
or whatever with the LMG. So he's like the gunner, obviously, but like so it was neat seeing like the different classes within the squad because everybody has their own roles and stuff like that. So that was neat seeing that. A
So
lot of
if we,
characters that
yeah,
were
a lot
introduced.
of characters. Yeah, a lot of characters. So if we went back to it's the night scene, they're going to infiltrate this building, take it over. It's obviously been scouted and it's like a civilian household. Um, and they come to find out they take over the first floor, but they come to find out it's two apartments and the top floor is divided. And there's like a brick wall up at the top. Taking out when they said, all right, blow it, I thought it was gonna be like a little C4 or something or whatever, but he's
But
pulling
they
out
were
the
gonna
sledgehammer.
satchel charge it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nah. But then I
Because
think
I
about it, they
always
can't because
figured,
nighttime.
Yeah, and they don't want to make too much noise because if they
but
make a bunch
a
of noise, then they
But then he
can.
sledgehammer?
uses the sledgehammer. Like I thought, why
Yeah, a
That's
don't you just
true.
go
sledgehammer's
around to the
loud.
front door of the other house?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I thought too. Because I was like, if you're gonna be loud, you want to be loud and quick, right? So why not just boom, blow that wall out? So I don't know. That was the only thing I thought was like, but what do I know? But I would not have wanted to sledgehammer through the wall because then that just gives opportunity to whoever's on the other side to shoot back. So
Right.
Man, unless
I
you're
don't know.
gonna
I
go
was
through that
close
thing
enough.
with one hit. Boom! That's
Yeah,
that's the only
yeah.
way. One hit
What was
there,
what
bro.
was what was dude
Sledge.
on Sledge? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
R6. Yeah.
I missed that game.
I've been playing it actually. Come back. Come join me.
Oh, I'm coming back. Don't worry. So yeah, that was one scene that I was like, but once they got through, really, I love that they didn't hurt the family. That gave me anxiety because I was like, oh, there's children. Da 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 da. I was like, hopefully but they played it smart. They
So,
really.
question on the time. I guess I didn't really pay attention or think about this. Was this all a 1 day thing, or do you think that
Yes.
like the way that they portrayed it, it was like a single day
This
Night.
thing?
was a
It was. It was
if
maybe. It wasn't even 24 hours because they
yeah,
didn't go into another night.
pretty sure I read about this. That it was the portrayal of it was supposed to be a minute for minute account, except for the night, of course, because they skipped forward to the next day. But when the day starts, it's supposed to be minute for minute. Like that's how long that mission took.
Interesting.
Damn.
That's pretty cool because like they literally let you follow along with their memories like
Yeah, and that's
from
why when
front to
Trey
back.
says we've been sitting here for 58 minutes, I'm like, yeah, 58
Hmm.
minutes is it's
Well,
you
because
know,
I was like, man, this movie only has about 40 minutes left to do some shit, if that. And I think it might have been less than
bro.
that. So I was waiting on it. Um, but yeah, how'd you all like the characters as we started, they started to unfold. I mean, who was your favorite? Who stood out to you?
Um, I like. I think his name was Elliot, right? Like he's our main
Yeah,
character, kind of. I feel like he's got the main character energy, but the dude who was on the sniper, I'm pretty sure it was Elliot first, and then
yes,
the other guy, like I like their. They had a little bit of comedic relief between the two of them when he's sitting there and they're talking about some of the guys, and he's like, "Hey, if you see a blue Nike hoodie, I'm
Don't
missing
shoot
one
him. I
from
want my
base.
stuff back.
Yeah, don't shoot him. I want my hoodie back."
yeah,
So that
yeah.
was
That
kind of
was
funny.
funny.
But
What about you,
My
Chris?
favorite,
Anybody stand
my
up?
favorite. Oh yeah, the one guy that definitely stood out to me was I forget his name, but he was the short dude that did all the radio calls.
the
If it
comms
That
wasn't
guy,
was
for
me.
him, if it was not for him, that mission was fucked because
yeah,
he was on top of it with his radio calls, and he got shell shocked quite a few times, but he was able to bring himself in. And there was one where he got blown up, and then his the radio was going off in his head, and he knew that it was distracting, so he just pulled the shit. He said,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got other
that
stuff I got to
scene was
listen to right now.
crazy.
I can't focus. You know, he if it wasn't for him, there was a couple times where somebody would have died if it wasn't for him.
Yeah, I
Because he actually
completely
pulled Elliot back by
Yes.
himself.
Yeah.
yep. Yeah, no, I
And
completely agree
then he
with
walked
Chris.
back in and chewed that guy's ass out. He said, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing? I need you outside right now." And they
Yep.
walked
Yeah,
back
yeah.
outside. Like, what in the
That
world?
snapped
Those
right
guys are
back
crazy.
into it. Yeah,
Crazy.
that was one guy that stood out to me. I really liked his character. I mean, that was Elliot's little brother for sure. Did y'all peep that? It felt to me, it felt like that was like they had some type of
Bond relationship.
relationship. Yeah. So like
Okay.
a bond, like
But
that didn't
it's
need to be said type
yeah.
of bond.
I mean, it's like a brotherhood, though, right, Chris? Like
Yeah, I know, yeah, but
everybody
I'm
Yeah,
on
just
your
yeah,
saying
for
squad
sure.
is.
the way that they just had interactions was almost like there's a
I know what
couple
you're
of
talking about.
times.
Yeah, because there was like some weird scenes where he was like, they were like, he was down doing some comms work, and then Elliot was like staring at him in a weird
Yeah,
way. There
yeah,
you go, Chris. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that.
Yeah, just
Yeah, I
do
see
it.
That's
what you
some
mean.
Yeah.
that's some big brother
That's
shit.
that's to
Yeah,
let each other know, like, if you can still fuck with each other, you're still there. Like, if we
yeah.
Yeah,
still
yeah.
got our camaraderie, like, we can still
I
fuck
know
with
what you
each
mean
other.
now. Yeah, yeah.
If that crumbles, you ain't got nothing left, man.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Not over
So I
there.
so that was something I kept trying to pay attention to. I felt like they had like they were like relatives, cousins, brothers,
Mm-hmm.
something. I just felt it. And because he risked his life to drag him back into the house, there was something else that happened too. I think before they even walked out, they were in formation. They were doing they were stacking up to go to the tank and something happened. Oh, it was after we'll get to the grenade, but I don't want to skip it. But the grenade went off, and the way that he was checking him and make sure he's okay is just something about how they delivered that. It seemed like they were close. So I don't know. I kept looking for something to reveal that. It never was, but that was like my first intuition with their characters.
Another character that I like too is the they weren't comms guys. I don't know what they were like. I guess they were a different
Um,
division because they
because he wanted to
the
get
two
the
the two guys with the computers and stuff, and they were
yeah,
talking to the air
Pretty
control.
sure those were Marines. I'm pretty sure
Okay,
those are the guys that said Marines, if I'm not
so
mistaken.
the dude with the
that makes sense.
mustache,
I'm
The
pretty sure
water
he was the
bottle.
Marine.
he was funny to me too because some of the situations that he got himself into, like with the morphine
That's exactly what I'm
when
talking about.
he's like
Yeah.
when he hit the
Oh, he
morphine
said,
and
"Oh
accidentally
shoot, oh shoot."
yeah he put it in his
I
thumb
stabbed
instead of he
myself.
grabbed the wrong end. So that was interesting. That was a
The
funny
water
character.
bottle scene was disgusting, and I was just like, that would be the one dude that would just annoy the shit out of me
That's what made me
doing
think he
something
was a
like
Marine. And then on top of that, did you notice when all shit started to go bad, and he was like, "Wait, I got to get the receiver." He's about to walk out there while the fire was going
yeah,
on, and the
Yeah,
captain was like, "Hey, bad idea, man." And he just
just
decided to
leave it.
yeah,
roll it. Like, why didn't you think to do that in the first place?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So
So the sniper, he kind of like I think his Elliot his very first introduction, they like made it sure that he was like a badass. Did you feel that too?
Yeah, I kind of got that.
That
Yeah, I mean,
like he
he
was
didn't want to. You could see like he didn't want to get off that sniper. Like
no,
he wanted to stay on it completely. He didn't get off of it till he absolutely had to, which was to get another dip. But He definitely wanted in and was kind of like calling all the shots from the sniper part, and the other dude was just relief, and he was right back in it after he got his dip back in.
Yeah. So yeah, so I mean, unless y'all have more to say with like the characters and everything, I was gonna ask you all about the initial jump off, which
Oh,
was the
the bomb
grenade.
drop,
Yeah,
literally.
the Ja Morant. How did you how
Yo,
did
it was me and one other person in the theater, and I felt like well they were watching them and they were surveilling them, but the people were watching them as well. And I said I know something bad's about to happen. All of a sudden I hear ching ching, and I said, oh shit! I said it
Yeah,
out loud in the theater. I said it out
same,
like really
same.
loud.
The
Yep.
lady next to me said the same thing. She's like, "Oh!" She jumped up. I mean, it was from complete silence to that ting ting ting, boom, and like I literally felt like the theater shook.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
did.
Yeah.
it was cool.
So do y'all feel like that was, I mean, obviously it had to been, but there wasn't much damage to anyone done from that. And I like you always imagine that grenades have huge shrapnel.
Hmm.
The room wasn't even, but I guess grenades are made in all shapes and forms, I guess. But I was like, man, that was either really lucky that maybe the table he was on and everything kind of took more of
Yeah,
it,
it
but
was a bunch of like mattresses. It was all the mattresses they
yeah,
made a bed.
yeah.
But yeah,
So
I thought there would have been more damage too, especially to the dude who was
yeah,
just standing right next to him. But
yeah,
Well,
I don't
I
know.
mean, they have body armor on, and I
That's
mean,
true.
yeah.
they do. You have no idea. All we saw is it drop in. They could have dove out the fucking way. You have no
Hmm.
idea.
Yeah. His
Whatever the case, they made it out.
Right.
his hand, I think it was his shooting hand too. The guy got messed up. So Elliot was the only one to kind of take damage from that grenade. Everybody
Right.
else, some people were a little
Physically,
concussed.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was the only damage physically. But I think after that grenade drop, there was a lot of mental, like, oh shit, like this is happening.
So our commander at that time in that specific unit, or captain, we'll say, in that specific unit, he even acknowledges that he was messed up, like his head was like he was concussed. I'm pretty
Well,
sure. Was that what
that
did
was
it?
after. No, that was after the other
No, 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 no,
situation.
no, 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 no. You are like that was which one? When did they set the claymores off to go
Right
downstairs?
That's
before,
Because
what
that's
did
the
right
it.
one that rang his
before.
bell. The claymores
That's what did it.
rang his bell.
That's right.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
all had traumatic brain injuries that day. Multiple.
Yeah. So I want to ask you all if you had to just think, and especially, yeah, just think about it. The way the house is set up, you know where everybody's at. You got the two ally Iraqians downstairs holding the doors. You got them up top. They're watching the jihads and everything. Who got close enough and where did this grenade come from to get through this tiny sniper hole? Where would you imagine that?
Okay, if you notice, there are the buildings next door. The balconies are pretty close. They were topping balconies, if I'm not mistaken.
Because there's
Because
no window.
when they
There's
had air
very little
support,
windows.
yeah, when they had air support, you remember the little white dots? They're like, yeah, we got guys
Yeah.
all over the roof next to you this way. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they just jumped a roof because there's no way they just walked up to the front door and climbed the front of the building.
Yeah, because the tanks definitely. They told the tanks to shoot our building because they're on our
And
roof.
that was a little later, and I agree with both of y'all. That was definitely called out a little later. I'll say I had a theory, but not a theory. I was like, where did that come from? I was really trying to figure it out, and I didn't get a theory until the IED, which we'll get to that. And my theory is probably not right, but it's just something. It's one that's out there, and we'll talk about it. But so the grenade happened and all that, and they start pretty much scrambling that like ultimately they're like, all right, we need to get what they call it, Chris, is pretty much an to get a
Evac.
evac
The
pretty much, but
what?
that's not what
Oh,
they
the
called it.
Casevac? The Casevac.
Kazovac. Yeah,
Casevac.
okay.
It's a casualty evacuation.
Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, so ultimately it was what, just to get the two tanks there, load up, and then get out, right? Or was it just to put
Yeah.
on the? Because they
No, so
did two
you
ways, which
remember
confused me.
the initial one from the grenade, they called it Casevac because Elliot and the other dude got hurt. So that they
Yeah.
were saying, "Hey, we need to get these guys out." So they called the Bradleys in, and they were just going to
Okay.
evac them. They were going to take them to the Bradleys. And you remember the commander saying, "Once we get them
Yeah.
in, everybody's falling back into this building." And then
Yep. Yep.
everybody's face was like, "Fuck yeah,
Yeah.
bro." They thought they were
Okay.
getting ready to leave. Nah, they were
Yeah.
going right back in that house. They still had a mission to do.
It's just I get well, I guess the other sniper would have been there. I was like, man, I felt like they would have needed Elliot, but nah, they did have the backup sniper, who missed his opportunity.
Yeah, we didn't
Uh,
talk about that. That was before the grenade hit.
yeah, yeah, before the
He
grenade
saw
hit.
them pulling what he thought might have been a gun, but he didn't make the
He
call or take
called
the
it a
shot.
PKM. What does that stand
Hmm.
for?
It's a
Some
type
sort
of
of yeah,
LMG, I
it's
think.
some sort of. It's a European. I think it was. I think it's a
Okay,
Russian
okay.
weapon, if I'm not mistaken. It's either Russian or
Yeah,
Chinese. I'm not
So
sure.
so it's a machine gun, not a sniper rifle.
I think so.
I don't even know
Or an
that. I
assault
just know it's some
rifle.
sort of weapon.
It's
Okay.
Yeah.
it was a long
It could have
rifle.
hit
It was
him from where
definitely
they shot it from.
yeah.
At one point when he was scouting and we were like looking through the POV, wasn't there a point where he looked through the window and there was like a flash?
Yeah,
An
Yes, but it
accident?
that
wasn't.
was
It
after.
was just the sun hitting the
Oh,
barriers.
okay.
Because I remember saying, "Oh shit, somebody's about to shoot him," and
Yeah, I was.
it was just a
Yeah, yeah.
I
reflection.
was having when he was scanning like that. I mean, I know the only military background I have is literally playing video games, but when he was scanning
Yeah, I'm a
that, I was
simulator
like,
guy too.
man, I this is me setting up Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and with my Dragonov sniper scanning.
Yeah, it was flashbacks to the Warzone days for sure. Speaking of like relatable to video games though, the top down from like the satellite view was definitely like a Call of Duty Battlefield feel. Like that brought me
AC
back to
130.
that. Uh, Especially
Did you
Battlefield. If you've
notice?
played Battlefield, yeah.
Go ahead.
What are you saying? So I
I was
was
gonna
just
say,
gonna
did
say
you
too,
notice how little?
the well, I'll just say so because we're like syncing up. All right, so the we'll get to it, I know, but the tanks shooting the building, the that reminded me of Battlefield like so much, just the destruction of everything. But yeah, that's what they related me to. But yeah, go on, Chris.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
You were talking about the something being so
Oh,
little.
yeah. So the top the view that you got when you had the air support looking, I noticed this just because I was looking for it. They gave you so little information. They literally just gave you an X on the screen and just you could see the people running. You couldn't see like the altitude, the
Yeah,
attitude,
yeah.
the heading indicator, none of that stuff that would normally be on like a HUD or
Compass
a
and all,
yeah, none of
yeah.
that stuff was given. Hmm.
But they were calling it out, and I kind of enjoyed like the call outs. It was just cool to kind of like try to immerse yourself, like all right, where they were geographically, and having him saying, "Oh, he's running westbound and this and that,"
So
going up.
there was one com that made me also like from that view. It also almost sounded like a real like
I think it was
recorded
real. The
comms
guy,
because
he was like rushed. He's like, they're to the
yeah,
north. It was the one where they were coming. I know which one you're talking about. I'm pretty sure that
that
was
one just
real.
seemed so real. I wonder if they took a clip from like what actually happened. Like that one that because it didn't
It
sound the
sounded like
same as
real
the other
combat
com
stress.
call
Yeah,
outs. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, damn!
yeah, yeah.
I didn't even
It
catch
was,
that. I
yeah, it was the
know
one.
they. I don't know if you all know this, but I'll send y'all the behind the scenes. I thought I might have sent it to you already on Instagram, Corey. But they
Okay.
apparently built a city to like that whole building that they were in. They built it, and
Okay. Off
apparently
of their memory.
they made like a city to shoot that whole part of the film in. Which I
That's
mean
awesome.
seems like very uh reasonable because you didn't see much in the film. Like they didn't really go
Mm.
to a different location or
I bet
nothing.
you they only made like about 6 buildings.
Yeah,
Like
exactly. And everything else was CGI.
yeah.
Yeah. Um. So let's get into the action. So
They get the first.
uh
I guess we're at the point where the first Bradley comes in, and
first
they're getting
Bradley,
ready
we
to
got a
take
show of
the
force, which I'll
Enders.
say the show of force
Yo,
was
that
dope.
was sick.
In that theater that I was in, bro, it sound like that's what Tucson sounds like every day.
Shit.
Every day. That's what it sounds like here every day. It scared the shit out of me. I was like, good Lord, man.
And so what is that? Just just a fighter flying probably what
Way too
60
low.
feet up and just
Yeah, yeah.
zooming through.
Dusting out the whole street, busting eardrums, windows,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
everything, blowing people off a building. God, man, that would,
Yeah.
yeah, that's definitely a show of force, especially even if they don't shoot you. If you're the bad guy in that
Yeah.
area and you know that the jets are now looking at that area, I'd be like, I'm done. I'm out of here,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
And you got all the it basically gives a little cover too because all
Yeah,
the
it did.
dust
Yeah.
gets brought up in the air.
Yeah. That was dope. That was really cool to see that. That was cool. So they did that. They're stacking up to get out. So I think the next chain of events, as far as action wise, happens is the IED. Um, how did you all feel about that? How it
I was
happened?
curious at how it happened because for anybody that doesn't know what IED stands for, is improvised explosive device. So typically they're just like sitting on the side of a road, like in the form of like camouflage. It'll be like a fucking
Yeah,
Coke can or something silly that looks out
A
of
yeah.
pile of
place.
garbage.
Yeah, and I don't understand how the Bradleys rolled up to it, and I who knows? Maybe they threw it off of a roof or something. I don't know.
I have a theory, and also with you saying what you're saying bothered me too because it was never really revealed what the IED was.
Right.
And that kind of bothered me with this film and the ending, which we'll get to. But I feel like that was kind of important to know. Like they found out somehow, and so
Hmm.
Yeah.
I built a theory in my mind, and I'm gonna tell y'all what it is. I think it was the first Iraqi soldier that was walking out. I think he had it strapped onto him because the way it
No,
all
Oh,
absolutely
happened,
not.
he
wait a minute.
he got blown. He
Absolutely
got hit
not.
the
It
bottom half of his body got blown
it
off.
completely
Now,
Absolutely
half.
not. Absolutely not.
but hold on.
Absolutely not. You
I
wanna know
know I
why?
know why you I know why you might be saying that because at the
Okay.
end of the credits they gave him his props, which I thought was
No,
weird
that's
too.
not
But
even why. Think about the
okay,
simplest thing. What are they trying
okay,
to do? The bad guys are trying to kill the good guys. He's in the room with all the good guys. He could have just been like,
Yeah,
and
he
just
could
blew
already blew
everybody
it.
up.
And they
oh,
were nervous. Those two were very
that's
nervous to
very
go out
nervous.
there. They didn't want to be the first people because they thought
Yeah, they
that
Yep.
they
tried to
were
get
going to
out. They
get
tried to get
killed.
out of the stack, and the dude was like, "Stay in the
Yeah,
stack."
See,
that's true.
I took it as he was nervous about what he was about to do.
No, he was
I don't
nervous. He
know.
said, "If we go out there, we die." He already knew. If we
Yeah,
go out there, we die. He didn't want to
and
die.
and and completely, and I agree. But it was just weird to me that the way it happened, where it happened, and how half of his body got blown off
Yeah, he took the
and no
most
one else took,
damage.
yeah, and no one else. And I was like, and so that's why I was going to ask you, Chris,
But he
if
was
you
also
even
the
knew.
first one. He was also the first one in the
Yeah.
stack
He was
too.
the
So I
first
mean, that's why he
one,
took most of
but
the damage.
that wouldn't make sense for it to happen if it was a tripwire and it was off to the side, or it would only make sense if like it was pressure and he stepped on it or something.
No, timeout. They got to the Bradleys and they posted up. And then the Navy said, "Okay, go ahead, go." And then the other guys started to come out. They were already posted. So it could have been an RPG. And maybe it wasn't an IED. It could have
They
been
do
anything. I
reference the
don't
I
IED,
just
but I was thinking it was a rocket propelled
that's what I mean. It
grenade.
could have
Like,
been an RPG. I don't know.
I just wish we knew. I just wish we knew. But
But I'm
that
gonna
was
research
my
it now.
kind of in the moment. That was my theory. I was like, oh, he was a narc or whatever you want to call it. But
Nah, he
then
would have killed
and
him
I
way
was
earlier than that.
yeah.
and that's what I would thought too. But maybe he didn't want to hurt the family that was in there too. I don't know. I was that was my
Oh,
mind
that's a good
just
point. I
yeah
don't know.
yeah. So I don't know.
Interesting.
Let's research that and
Yeah, we
then
need to look into
bring
that
that to
one.
the people. Yeah. So the IED goes off, and then the aftermath was just. I thought they played that really well. I don't think the acting was that great as far as one guy that was injured and kept screaming, but we'll get to that. But
Like that. And
That
you
was the
know,
most
there's a
realistic
couple.
shit ever. Trey,
Let me
let me
tell
come
you.
over there with a sledgehammer and bash your legs
bruh,
in and see
I
if you.
know it's
Ah! Just let me see.
I
Let me
know it's
see
gonna
if you
hurt.
scream.
You have all
Fuck
those
that.
tendons and those muscles
Yeah,
and
yeah.
nerve endings in your legs. Like he
Not only
every
that,
time he moved, he screamed. He said, "Don't move me again." And
you're
that
also
because every time he just moved.
you're also forgetting about when he first initially saw it. He wasn't screaming. He was in shock. He said, "Oh
Yeah,
my God. Oh my
yeah.
God." Like he was just in shock. He just sat there. He didn't scream until they started pulling
You
him.
know who that? You know who that guy is? the actor?
Yes. Yes.
You watch Stranger Things, right, Chris?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
don't.
So you know who he is, right?
Pretty
In
sure.
Stranger Things, the
Yeah.
dude with the dark long hair,
You say I was thinking about a
like the
different movie. You're
rocker
talking
guy.
about Billy? Yeah, Billy.
Not Billy. No, not
Which
Billy.
oh, Eddie. Eddie.
Eddie. That's Eddie. Yeah.
Yes. Eddie. Yeah, yeah. That was
See,
yeah, I know what you're talking
I
about.
don't watch Stranger Things. I probably
You
need to.
tripping.
Everybody
Yeah,
talks
you do
about
need
it.
to.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So no,
thought the
I mean
I thought
the
the
aftermath.
well-known actors, like looking at it how it was, like I thought it was going to be more of like
Yeah,
story and stuff from those well-known actors, but they literally just played their own
yeah,
role for
exactly.
whatever person they were portraying. And
Yeah,
that's what I really liked about this film is like it wasn't like, oh hey, I want to go see this movie because Eddie from Stranger Things is in it. Like he
yeah.
was in it, but he just played his part and he didn't try to steal, they didn't highlight any of these big time characters any different than the people that you didn't know from another
That's because
movie.
it's not a movie.
Right.
Yep.
Right. That's what I like about it.
Exactly. Exactly. Um, no, I thought it was cool. I mean, the way they just, I mean, everyone was kind of what you want to call shell shock, I guess, and was taking that in. I thought Elliot was done. The way they
Yeah.
kept looking at
Well,
him,
because
I thought
yeah, the
he was
lady next to me
dust covered and
literally said, the lady said next to me, look, and he said, "Oh, he's dead." I was like,
Yeah, man.
"Yep,
And then
I
that
think
scene
so."
pulling him back in the building at the corner of
yeah,
that 90-degree turn.
And his
Oh,
leg got
yeah,
stuck, and his leg started to separate. I was like, "Oh
yeah,
God," I shivered.
just
yeah,
mangled
Yeah.
meat.
yeah.
So
They were showing that for sure. Anyone that's watching this right now, and you haven't seen it or what, it's yeah, they show
If you got a
you.
weak stomach, it's not for you.
once they get him back into the building, I think that's the scene that really got me. So you said you got anxiety because nothing was happening, right?
Yeah, and then it popped
I
off. Yeah,
got anxiety because I was so overstimulated by watching the film because they did such a good job of pulling in the chaos of what was going on. Like this is the scene, Chris, that you were talking about where the dude pulls out his headset for the comms because
Mhm.
they're playing like six different communications
Radios
coming
all at
in,
once.
and so they're playing it for you, and you got people screaming, and you got like bullets shooting. You got the gunner is shooting out at nothing because he doesn't know what to shoot at
all
because
right,
there's
let me stop you.
bullets coming from everywhere.
Let me stop you because
Yeah,
this is my big point, and we skipped that part. And I was just thinking, I was like, I'm glad you brought it up, Corey, because I was like, oh, before we even got to that point, the grenade went off, and they were kind of responding with gunfire,
yeah,
um, and shooting things. Like both of y'all mentioned, the sound effects, the immersiveness of all that. Coming into it expecting a movie, to me, I was like, there's a lot of noise and nothing happening. Like you said, shooting at nothing. And
yeah.
that's what I just kept noticing is like, there's just a lot of noise and shooting, but nothing
But this goes
actionable was
this
coming
goes
from.
back to the very beginning of the film. Those words that came across your screen. This is the memories from these soldiers. So they're not going to show a different POV from somewhere else. They're trying to keep you in that building to say like, hey, this is what happened, because they don't know what happened outside of what their memories are. You see what I'm saying? That's why I
Right.
took
But
it
I'm
like
just
that.
saying though, like all that gunfire, you know, you expect you're coming in watching a movie,
Hmm.
bam, 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 bam. Somebody's getting shot. Like somebody running through the window. There could have been contact that oh he got hit, he tumbled down. There could
Yeah,
have been that as they were getting shot at down from the tanks and stuff that like someone caught something in the shoulder. And there was no ever contact by a bullet to
oh,
anyone
Yes, there
from
was.
the outside into the.
from not until Bravo showed up and they were clearing the street, and then there was contact then, and that was like the only time. But like in
You're
that
saying
house,
nobody in
all
the
that,
squadron got hit with any bullets.
and they
Is that
never
what
hit
you're trying to
anyone
say?
else.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was never. It's just like it just felt like it was just a lot of gunfire at nothing, like you said. So that was my, and you said it. So
Hmm.
that was my
No, yeah,
mental
yeah.
perspective. And I was just like, yeah, did it sound great? Sounded awesome. It sounded immersive and all that.
The
But I was just
the
like,
shells falling, hitting the ground. That was a cool
yeah,
sound.
yeah, yeah. I just expected some actionable something happening from the gunfight, from the
I
gunfire.
still consider it action. I still had a good time watching it, even though it wasn't like
Yeah, yeah.
even though you're not seeing where those bullets are raining out to.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. Um, but so that happened before the actual tank thing, which we kind of skipped over that. But that was a good that was a good like intense scene with them
Mm.
covering fire, suppress fire, and then like trying to get their guns back so that because Chris can correct me if I'm wrong, but you definitely don't want to leave behind anything that they can then get and use later. So that I know
You're
it's very
not
important
going
for them
to.
to get.
Did you notice how many
Yeah,
times they went out into the street to get gear? Like went
yeah,
out into the
exactly.
gunfire
Yeah,
to go get a sledgehammer?
Yeah, they
yeah,
showed that sledgehammer pickup. I was like, man, they're not leaving nothing. If it's
yeah,
Nothing.
anything in
They're
there, they're
leaving
picking
nothing
it up.
behind.
yeah. So I noticed that too. But not, and then so the IED, they're all getting back in. Uh, just like the was there a medic? Was there a guy that actually was a medic? I felt like there
I think
was.
Elliot was also the medic. Not
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Elliot, the
because he
one
he
had
was a field medic.
yeah, he
Yeah.
had the morphine. I'm pretty sure he was the combat medic. See, those guys, those Navy SEALs, they're jack of all trades, man. Like you
that's a
have
yeah
to know everybody's job. Even if it's in like just a minuscule capacity, like they know how to do everybody's job. So if one guy goes down, they can fill in. They're really,
Yeah.
yeah
really unique characters. Like
And they
imagine the baddest motherfucker you know, multiply it by 10, and you still
mhm.
might not have a Navy SEAL.
And when you said that they have to know everybody's job, they portrayed that a lot because the comms guy handed the comms to somebody else for a minute, and the sergeant or whoever the I forget his name, but the dude who seemed like he was having a heart attack the whole time, uh, he he gave the mission control over to the comms guy a couple times. So it's like they really were doing everybody else's job. It was pretty neat
yeah
seeing that.
yeah. Was there a scene that you all really enjoyed?
I don't have a
I
scene, but
really
I have a quote
Oh
like
shit, that's new.
right right whenever right whenever the chaos was going on and they were trying to get more Bradleys to come back in on the comms they're talking and he's like what's your location da 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 and he
look
starts
the
to
smoke
say
in the
it
Yeah, I
and
blood.
then
remember.
he
Yeah,
stops he says
yeah,
look for the blood and smoke.
yeah,
We're
yeah. That was
there.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
but
was
that
funny.
same guy, he's the one that had my favorite scene too, Trey, where he fucking hold on, I just drew a blank. Oh well, I'll remember. I'll remember in a second.
I think.
Good
Oh
about
yeah,
that too.
I remember now. So when he was on the radio and he was talking to the other frogman, the guy I don't want to label him because I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure he was an Asian gentleman. Um
Yeah,
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 Asian.
so when he was
yeah,
talking to him on the radio, he was like, "Hey, Jake, come help me!" Like he was like he broke. He didn't call him by his call sign. He called him by what he calls him when they're drinking beer.
Hmm.
Which
Hmm.
yeah,
that let him know on the other end he really fucking
Yeah,
needs
he
me.
needs us.
You know what I mean? Like that's my
yeah,
friend talking to me now. Like so
yeah,
that
yeah,
was that one was pretty crazy that they did that because I mean those guys never once broke character. They always called each other by call sign until that moment.
yeah. Um, yeah. I don't know if there was like a scene that really stood out to me. I really enjoyed. I enjoyed the tanks showing up and just blasting at the
Those
buildings. That was
Bradleys,
just
boy.
yeah.
Hmm.
They went in. I did expect like maybe the roof to start falling in a little bit, but that was dope. I liked how the Bravo team showed up, and then those two guys went out to the rooftop and just started just suppress firing on all the buildings. That was dope.
Trey, you remember I told you they're all type A personality, right? And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
knew for a fact, like as soon as this happened, I said, "Yep, there it is." So when Homeboy was laying in there with his legs mangled, and that guy comes on, he says, "Let's fucking go!" And he bumps his leg. Like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Watch what you're doing. Don't step on anybody's
yeah,
legs. And he just, even after that, he still didn't get it. He was like, "Hey, man, you're a frog man. This is just a paper cut." He's like, "No,
yeah, yeah,
motherfucker, my legs are gone."
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But see,
I
they don't
was
think about
that
shit like that. As long as you're
nah,
alive, you can fight.
exactly, yeah. That was intense too. The whole medic part was intense. That was a good scene as far as like So let me go back on the acting. I thought the acting was weird when it initially happened, and he was like, "Oh, what the fuck," and like wasn't really reacting. But I get the shock, and then started screaming. I just thought it was a little annoying. But like him coming in and him showing the pain and everything, that was good acting. And going through all that from both sides of them. Elliot's acting, all the person that acted him was good all the way through, even from when he rose from the death. Because I thought he was gone. I don't know if they were trying to portray that he was, and then, or I don't know how y'all felt, but then when he like woke, lifted up screaming, and then the dude that me and you like, the comms guy, looked over and was like, "Oh," it's like I don't know what
I don't
y'all
know,
got from
bro.
that.
I mean, I'm sure you can. I'm sure that that kind of concussion and blast would knock you out. I mean, if it blew his legs off, think about what it did to his brain.
Hmm.
I mean, you've seen
Yeah,
people
that's
in
true.
UFC get hit in the face and get knocked out by a fist.
Yeah,
Think about
yeah,
what a
that's
fucking
true.
explosive will do to you.
Now, and they could the film might have changed that differently, but it seems that Elliot was like the biggest contributor to the um memories because they showed him a lot in the pictures and it showed him working with the crew a lot when he
Yeah,
was in his wheelchair. So maybe he was coherent at some points, but from his memory he just knows he was completely blacked out probably,
yeah.
and they could have used that anyway in the film. I'm not sure, but
The
that
last thing he probably remembers is walking outside and then waking up inside. That's probably his
right.
memory.
Yeah, waking up and instantly telling them what to do to him too. Like he was
Hmm.
like, "Give me the
You
morphine,"
got to get the
And then
and no one
morphine.
even thought about morphine. Um, yeah, that was dope. But then, so
yeah, because
about scenes.
real quick before you go too far
Yeah,
from that, when he said I need morphine, he immediately woke up and knew it, right? But the
yeah,
other dude never asked for morphine, even though he'd been there the
yeah.
whole time in
He
pain.
wasn't
And then
thinking
he
about it.
hears
Yeah,
that Elliot's getting morphine. He's like, I need morphine too. Like,
yeah,
give
yeah,
me morphine too. It's like so
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. That was fun. I noticed that too. So
Also,
just on,
he is a medic
yeah,
too because he said, I don't have much blood flow in my legs. Put the morphine in my arm. Did you
yeah,
notice
he
when he
did
said
say
that?
that. Yeah.
You say it's getting shitty return.
Um,
Hmm.
Yeah. So on scenes, and this kind of goes into another expectation I had with the film. So this film was shot with a camera that I used to own, which is a really good camera. It's like super stabilized. You can move around with it a lot. If you all remember a film that I did where the girl was running at night, and I did it as like kind of a one take thing. She was running, and then the car, whatever,
Mm.
it really allows you to move a lot with the camera and get something pop up. Okay, to get a lot of movement with the camera and get POV type of stuff. I expected a lot more of that with this film. I expected that like I don't know, there would be like some over the shoulder and moving and all that. I don't know, but you know, like I said, it was quickly identified this was an experience and not a film. But I expected the that camera to be really pushed to its limits. So but didn't really see it in the scene. But it was still good. I still enjoyed most of the cinematography was pretty dope. They did a really good job with it.
I had a question for Chris here about one of my notes I wrote in here. So when they took the two Bradleys came in and they were getting Elliot and the other dude into each of the Bradleys, and that's when they all piled in the Bradleys. Um, they rolled them onto the carpet and did all that stuff, right? So they're super heavy because all their gear is still on.
Hmm.
Would they? Why wouldn't they take the gear off to make them lighter? Like at
You're
least some
still
of
in
the
the
heavy
combat
packs and
zone.
stuff.
You're still in the combat zone, man. If he's got plates on, you don't know that you might
Yeah.
go out there and another
Well, I was
concussion
just
might
saying, like his
happen.
his backpack and all that stuff was still on him whenever they were carrying him over.
I
I
don't
just
know,
didn't
man.
know.
The
It's
only
just some
explanation I can give you is like maybe if somebody else is carrying that, they're no longer a valuable asset. Like if I'm carrying a whole bunch of extra shit, I can't move my gun anymore.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
that's
maybe
true.
maybe the best place for his gear is with him, you
Hmm.
know?
yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I don't have an answer for that one.
That's cool.
I was thinking that like it's that's just something else for someone else to have to carry.
Right. Yeah,
And
like you were saying.
yeah, yeah.
I
No,
just
that's
thought
true.
that I just pulled that out for some reason because they were making it seem like it was really difficult to carry the weight of these two guys with all their gear to the trucks, but That's
Well,
I'm
it
just
is. I
thinking of
mean,
how it would make it easier.
the guy probably weighs 200 and something pounds plus another
Mm-hmm.
150, 180
With the
pounds of
gear.
gear.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he was a big boy.
Yeah, he was a
So
big boy.
so to wrap it up, we'll go into the ending, and then hear you all's final verdicts on this. The ending was just like, all right, the second round of we had a show of force, streets was getting cleared, everyone was loading up this time, and they actually um, pulled people. They pulled them on top of everyone else, kind of in there, and just kind of rode on out. I thought it was really funny at the end. The dude was like, "Get these fucking doors up on the
Yeah,
back of
fucking
the
let the
ramps."
ramp up. Fuck yeah,
Yeah,
let the ramp up so somebody shoot an
yeah,
RPG in there and kill everybody. Or another grenade.
exactly,
Everybody's dead.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um, that shit was funny. But then, but yeah, so that was the end. Well, the first wave actually, they got the injured on there, and the guy that I assumed was
Yeah, I
like
was
a
gonna bring
little
this up.
brother. He made sure he got on one to get out.
But did you hear what he
No,
said?
no, that was by accident. It was
He said he
100% by
got
accident, bro.
stuck. He said he got
Did you see?
stuck
No,
on
no,
it.
no, no, no. I thought the same thing. And then did you see the way that
Okay,
they have to load them? You got
Yeah.
true.
somebody on the legs and somebody on the front. So
Yeah,
somebody has to be walking backwards. He's in the back of it. As soon as they put
Hmm.
him in, they let that thing up. He's stuck. He couldn't get out. He would
And
have
you
had to
could
that's
step
tell
on
it
true.
his
was a.
legs and get the fuck out.
Now that you're
That's
saying
true.
that, I've got a different portrayal of how I felt about how they portrayed that scene because like he's like I got stuck and like
Yeah,
he's realizing, hey, I'm going to safety, but my squad, I'm leaving them behind, and he kind of had like this look on his face, like what did I just do that for? Like he
Yeah, he
was
told him I
upset
wasn't
that he
able to
got
make it out to
out.
Bradley.
Yeah,
I mean, those Bradley guys, they took the load and they let that ramp up quick. He didn't
yeah,
have
because they
time.
oh
could get
yeah,
blown
they
up.
weren't playing.
They could you because the very first one that got blown up, you see once that explosion happened, they threw that ramp up and drove right off. They
Well, they
left
stayed there
all
for a
whatever
second. They
happened.
were shell shocked
They
too.
did.
Yeah,
They
Yeah.
sat there for a while before they
Uh,
pulled off.
yeah. So then everybody's loaded up. They're leaving, and then pretty much the insurgents that are left, the jihad, whatever, they start to come out onto the street and gather. And it reminded me of the title of this film, and it's just like how warfare is just because you think about the all right. So one, the people that live in that house, they're starting to walk out, and they're just like they're gone, and the whole time they were yelling at
It
them
almost
like
seems weird, like a movie, like a comedic relief, like the house just got destroyed and they're about to walk out. Like what the fuck? But I,
exactly, and then the
yeah, it was
streets and
weird.
everything. It just was like I felt like they were trying to show an example of just how quick war does devastation, and then it's just left behind.
yeah. Then you're
You know
having
what
to
I'm
deal with
saying?
the aftermath.
The aftermath. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's what I felt from it. But I did also. I was expecting something. I thought all of them walking out in the street. I thought there was gonna be one more
Hmm.
overhead.
I thought so too.
I
I
thought there
thought
was
so
gonna be
too.
one more overhead, and they were about to just get popped, like
Say,
blown
oh,
up.
there they
So,
all are. Bam.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I
but
thought they
it
were
didn't
too.
happen. Yeah, but now, how'd y'all feel about the ending, and then y'all can go on and give me your ratings on it. We can wrap this up.
Now I feel that, like you said about the squad, nobody in the squad actually like died. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think. Yeah, I don't. It doesn't seem like
I
it.
think they did that out
I
of
mean,
respect. There
except
had
the
to be some
Iraqi guy.
casualties. I think that there probably were some casualties, but out of respect for the people and the families, they weren't going to put anything like that in this film. You know what I'm saying?
I, I
Well, then
think I think it's
it
still
wouldn't have
on.
been a, if they hadn't have done that,
I
like if
think it's
they
still
held it from the
honorable.
family, it wouldn't have been able to be made because it was from their memories.
Yeah.
They, I'm
Well,
pretty
I'm
sure
saying the
it's just
people
about
who
as
aren't here
realistic.
anymore don't have the memories to bring it up. But you know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Yeah, but the
That's a
people that were
difficult
there would have
situation.
remembered them.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I feel you. I feel you on there. I
But
think it's
yeah.
still honorable to definitely to even show how someone died. It's just I think there's a way of showing it honorably,
Hmm.
without it being disrespectful.
Right.
So, but they didn't. They didn't have to worry about that. So,
But I mean, the ending. I don't have any notes on like the actual ending, but I thought it was really neat. Like whenever there is a real like based on a true story movie, like I love watching the end credits because that's where they kind of bring everything together and they're showing the actor next to the actual person, and they only really showed the actual person's face and maybe like five of the people, but you've seen a lot of their faces
A
were
lot of them
blurred
grayed
out
out.
because they're probably still active, I guess. Chris, is that why they would do that, or
I
did
would
Usually
you?
that's
say,
why,
I
but
would say so that they're either still active or they're in some other job where they can't have their face shown.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
But
working
for
at
me,
Lockheed.
yeah, for me, man, the ending was depressing, to be honest with you. Like, because at the end of that, like when you see them driving off, my mind immediately went to what happens next because they're gonna go back to the top. I mean, they're gonna go back to the fob and they're gonna have to get debriefed. They're gonna heal their wounds and then they're gonna go back on another mission. That wasn't it for them. That's not the end of their deployment. Their deployment doesn't end just because bad shit happens.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like that was depressing to me. Like that's why their camaraderie is so strong because they've been through shit like that before. That's why they said that stuff at the beginning where that guy, he's got new guy energy. Because he's still trying to make everybody like him. When in
Right.
reality, if you just do your fucking job, you don't have to get everybody to like you. You're already
Yeah,
here.
don't die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nah, yeah, I thought the ending was uh just as we already talked about. I didn't expect anything but just that explosion at the end. But yeah, I mean, and I'll just go in with mine overall. Overall, I think it was a good film. I think with my expectations going in, not that I was expecting like a straight up action movie because I loved the build up, but I just thought it was too long. I thought the build up was too long, and I expected the wait around was too long, and I expected um different results from the amount of shooting. That was just it. But uh and then story wise, I did expect some type of story. Now I understand that there was definitely situation, problem, climax, resolution, and that's the story. But I just thought there would be something a little bit like a little deeper, I guess, to say. You know what I'm saying? Like either that we got attached to either someone specific because I never felt like there was any like effort to try to attach you to one specific person either, which was
Right.
cool in the end of it when you look at it a grand scheme of things. But there was never any of that, so I felt like the story was just very. It was very just take a seat and watch. It wasn't like don't get you weren't. I didn't feel attached. If anything happened to anyone in that, I don't think I would have like I wouldn't feel indifferent or anything because it's just I didn't feel attached to anyone. But I did like certain characters. So,
My
but
overall, I'm sorry.
I give it an 8 out of 10. I give it an 8.
My overall review of it is, I we were all here in 2006. We all saw everything coming through on the TVs and what's going on over in Iraq and this and that. But we never really knew what was going on other than what we saw on the news, and they're obviously not going to show what we just saw in that film on the news. And it's just interesting getting that full like feeling of what it's like over there. It obviously is much worse than what we saw in this film, but just getting a little piece of that to get some understanding on what it took these soldiers to protect our country from afar. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty neat.
No. What do you rate it?
Oh, I rated about 8 as well. Because like you said, I, I'll give it 8.5 because I had a good time watching this movie. Um, I really liked it, and like you said, it doesn't have a really overall story, but each individual character kind of gave their own story from it, and I liked it. I didn't see anything. Can't say too much bad about it.
And before Chris goes, I would say that I would expect because I felt like one guy that was in there watching it with me was a veteran. He just had the vibe. He was an old guy. He just had this vibe about him. But I feel like veterans or people that have um, a closer attachment to military definitely had attachment to had a different perspective to acquire an attachment to certain people in these films too. And I think well, let's go back. I think this was a film made for Chris and other people that are veterans in this. I think it was definitely a movie made for veterans first, but I think anyone that respects what people do for this country, you enjoyed watching it. That's but yeah,
I
Chris,
agree.
lay it on us. How you feel?
Uh, I thought that this was probably the best depiction of
Hmm.
what modern war is like that I've ever seen, like ever. So, and just because it shows so much of the realism, like you really are sitting around sometimes with nothing to do, and then that's when fucking death will knock at the door, and you got to answer it. And those guys answered it. So those, you know what I mean? That movie is. I would imagine that if you're in a unit like that, or if whoever watches this podcast, if you're a young man and you're thinking about going to join the Navy SEALs or any ground force in the military, please go watch that movie
Yeah, I
because that could
agree.
be you just by, I mean, even if you're in artillery, if you're a Bradley driver, if you're anything, you can end up in a situation like that. So just make sure that you're ready for that call. So, just I thought that the movie was pretty realistic. And when I was watching it, I was saying to myself, I hope that they remake the director and everybody that's involved with this movie. I hope that they remake Black Hawk Down because I feel like they would kill that movie. Like they would
Yeah,
make that story so like because it's already crazy that happened. So I mean, I think that they
yeah,
could make a really good depiction of that.
Yeah, they did a
But
really good job.
yeah. Black
but
Hawk Down would be a dope remake. Yeah,
yeah. So I gave this movie like a nine, maybe a 9.5, just because like the effects of just like the wounds, the way that they were able to build anxiety with
yeah,
nothing
yeah.
besides silence.
They did. Yeah,
Nothing but
that.
silence. You felt so much anxiety just from it being super quiet. And then they go on the opposite spectrum and give you all the anxiety from all the sounds. You got every bit of anxiety and every bit of the spectrum. And that
I gotta change my rating. I'm going 9 because I don't. There's nothing bad about this movie. I gotta give it a
I'm
higher rating.
telling you, there's nothing, man. The that it was absolutely like incredible. And it was just I mean, I don't really it's just guys telling a story about a day at work. Just a
Yeah,
day
yeah,
at work.
One
Like
day,
they're gonna
one
go back
day.
home. Those guys are gonna go back to their talk and they're gonna call their wives and gonna be like, "How was work today?" "Oh, I don't want to talk about it." Because that's what just happened. You know what I mean? That's the kind of stuff that I was thinking about when I saw this movie. I felt so sorry for those guys because they're still alive walking around somewhere,
yeah.
carrying that shit on them every day. So yeah, I
It's
gave it like a
crazy.
9, 9.5. Yes, it's crazy when you think about it, man.
It's
They could
crazy.
have even worse stories to tell than the one that we just watched.
There
Like
are
they
much
could have,
worse.
yeah,
Yeah,
shoo,
it's wild.
intense.
Um, yeah, I know. It's like, man, just gotta go find the right units, interview them, and then make a movie about
Hey, just
whatever.
also something else I was thinking about while I was watching this movie, and I wanted to make sure I saved this for the podcast. So, all of the people around the world who don't understand what was going on in this film, all the bad guys in the world, those people in that movie are the motherfuckers that are coming after you if something bad happens. So that and that was just eight of them. That it's just eight or nine of them. Like
Yeah,
there's some scary motherfuckers out there. So
Yeah, yeah,
just be glad that we have them on our side
for
because
sure.
yeah,
we would
yeah.
be in a world of hurt if those motherfuckers come knocking at your door. You're already in trouble.
Yeah, that's very true.
But yeah, that's
Well,
what I gave it.
nah, that was I think average overall 9. And that's pretty good rank. I think that might be the highest ranking movie that we have done here. We've done series that have been right up there. But yeah, that's a top
I'll
tier
say
film.
the reason I don't give it a 10 is because it didn't pull a third emotion. It didn't pull a tear out of my eye, and I'm a crier. So if it would have done all three of those things, then I definitely would have gave it a 10. But I don't know if I want to be crying about something like that.
If
So
it would have just answered a few things, I think I would have gave it higher where I would have felt like, oh, okay, the way my mind was thinking, I was answering I don't know, like if the comms dude and Elliot were brothers. It's just like, okay, now I get it. Like I
Yeah.
don't know, but it's just like I just wanted some connection, something to just like draw me to something. So yeah, I agree with you, Corey. But no, I mean, there's no complaints about the film, um, other than just like, oh, I would have shot it this way. But what am I to like? That would have just been me adding Hollywood to it. You know what I'm saying? So like it was realistic, it was done right, but yeah, I just would have loved to seen some
Can I
some
say one more
impact from
thing
some bullets.
before we end? There was a there was a after the movie. I never ever ever do this, Trey. But for some reason, I went onto the internet and I just typed in warfare reviews. The first thing that popped up was a New York Times article that I'm just gonna say this
Say it.
silly bitch wrote this thing and it was like the most unentertaining movie. And I said, that's because you don't understand. You don't understand what you just witnessed. You didn't witness a
Yeah.
movie. Like that's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go tell these guys that they fail to entertain you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
see what they tell
Yeah.
you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that was the most disrespectful. I hope she sees this. That was the most disrespectful shit you could have ever written.
We're gonna add
Ever.
her. We're gonna
I
add
don't
her.
know if they have a senior editor or something, but if you do at New York Times, you really need to read what your people are writing before they post
Yeah,
it.
I
Or go
agree.
watch the movie first because that was a terrible description of whatever she saw. She thought that
Yeah,
she
I
it was
completely agree
terrible.
with you. This movie, the time period and everything, this war started, was it 2000 and was it 2001?
When they invaded, it might have been 2001, maybe 2002. I'm not sure. Baby, we were still in,
Yeah,
I
cuz
think
I
I
was
was in
thinking they were
middle
like,
school.
yeah, I was thinking they were like 5 years. They were 5 years in at least by now, I feel like.
Well, then it was
Um,
'01
yeah, that's what I was
when it started
thinking.
because that was '06.
The Twin
Yeah,
Towers were hit
cuz
in
we
2001, right?
exactly, and it wasn't long after that we were we were in there. I remember looking up just stuff. I just remember back at that time and even relevant, just looking up like just the things that happened over there. And there was one thing that I was surprised not to see in this, and that might speak to their professionalism in this type of unit and group. But I know friendly fire was such a huge casualty during,
Fratricide.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, doing
That's
a
the
lot of
actual term
wars.
for it.
Yeah, but you didn't. I'm not gonna say I wasn't surprised not to see it in this, but like that was one thing that was just like that you didn't. There wasn't even like a concern for it. So that
I
might just
think I know
speak to
why
their
that is.
professionalism.
Those guys, they're
What was
specialized
it?
units, and
Yeah.
they're in a specific part of a war zone where they don't just have, regular army guys running this way and running that. They're
Right.
making specific movements and calling it out. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Frogman 1 knows exactly where Frogman 3 is in relation to my position. So I'm
Back
not
to
going to
the
Yeah.
shoot over there. Yeah.
back to the notes they were
Yeah.
taking. Everybody was taking down real descriptive notes and stuff, so they knew where everybody's like squadron was, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, it was good. I enjoyed it. I can't downplay it as much as I cinematically want to or anything like that. But nah, it was good.
Moral of the story.
So yeah,
We're gonna end it on
so
a
go
comedic
watch
level.
it.
Moral of the story. If you need to get to the upstairs, don't use a sledgehammer.
Yeah, yeah, for real.
The whole story is
Unless you
different if
are,
they don't do that.
Breach charge.
yeah, unless you're playing Rainbow Six, you need to satchel that wall, get in quick. That could
Or even
that was
satchel the floor underneath it. Bam! Just come into the floor.
exactly. And we're about to get off here, but that right there, the sniper part gave me anxiety. Just waiting, just having him peeking through there. But even that gave me just as much anxiety because I was like, they're about to get some reaction from the other side of this wall
Yeah, what's on
by
the other
doing
side?
that.
They didn't really care.
Yeah.
They just went right into it. They
Yeah,
weren't afraid.
no. But all right, boys, I appreciate y'all's time. America, world, go check out Warfare done by A24,
You won't be disappointed.
and we'll catch y'all. No, we'll catch y'all on the next one. All
Peace.
right, peace.
Peace.
Later.